actually recorded this whole video a few minutes ago using this mic, and it did some nonsense. Hello there. How are you? Testing because this mic troubled me. That nobody's gonna hear what I was saying. So I decided, okay, fine. So I'm gonna have to take the mic out and go back to using this cord. As long as it functions, honestly, whatever works, that is fine for me. I don't like overthinking these things. So I'm back to using what usually works, and hopefully this turns out clearer and maybe even better. Today, we're going to be talking about boundary setting, but most importantly, I think the important part of boundary setting, guilt-free boundaries. Because the problem really isn't setting the boundaries. The problem always ends up being maintaining those boundaries or implementing those, like making sure that those boundaries that you set, you follow through with that. Because then we end up feeling guilty. Because usually we're setting boundaries against that protect us from other people. So we're going to speak about guilt-free boundaries. I took some notes. This not so pretty looking book has has some information that I want to talk about. I'm going to be giving out 2 points, and my second one is my favorites. Okay, the second one is my favorite, so I hope you stick around for that. It's not necessarily my favorites because I don't think there's like proper fun in setting boundaries, especially if you generally feel guilty about it. But it's like the most helpful one. Yeah, it's the most helpful one for me in my experience. So, what are boundaries? In my opinion, boundaries are basically parameters that we set around our hearts, our emotions, our minds to protect us from reaching a point where we are burnt out, reaching a point where we may end up having resentment and all those like not so great emotions that are also difficult to get through when you get yourself to that point, when you push yourself to that point. So we're trying to protect ourselves from having to get to that place. In my understanding, I think I would say that's what boundaries are. Just that protective barrier, right? They're not like a wall where you're completely closing yourself off, but it's that bit of protection that allows you to be able to be there and then to come back and be like, hey, I'm just going to be over here. Yeah. My favorite way of implementing my boundaries that I have set, because I do know that sometimes I get to a point where I realize I have not stuck to these boundaries because I keep feeling guilty about doing that. So I practice by going on social media. And I mean, life keeps on changing and evolving and moving and all of that. And sometimes your social media looks exactly the way it has looked for the past few years. So I'll just go back to my social media and look at the people that I follow and who I need to now start following, who I'd like to unfollow, what is most important in my life right now. So then I just make sure that I curate my social media to the things that are important to me at the moment. And that helps me remind myself that I am going to do what is going to be quite important for me right now. So the first thing would be take protecting your mind seriously. I think when you're trying to avoid feeling guilty or trying to work through feeling guilty, your mind sort of needs like an excuse. Maybe not an excuse, but like a reason for why you're doing this as opposed to doing that, right? You want to overexert yourself, but you know that it's not going to be good for you in a bit or in the long run, so you'd rather not. And to just remind yourself why are you making that decision, it's by letting yourself know that you're taking protecting yourself seriously. It is difficult for us to give the best of ourselves to the people that we care about or to the things that we care about giving ourselves to if we're not actually even taking care of ourselves. And actually, it is easier. It can actually even be validating. It can feel good to overexert ourselves, to be doing more and more for everybody else or for everything else, more into your business, more into your family, more into whatever it is, to just do a whole lot into that to the point where you are now exhausted or burnt out or irritable, But if you don't take care of you, you're going to get to a point where you're feeling a bit of resentment for all the things that you were doing that you agreed to yourself to give yourself away like that. So you kind of need to have like some boundaries, but not just have boundaries that you are sticking to. One of my reasons would be because I'm taking care of myself very seriously, taking care of my mind very seriously. The more I feed it and the more I care for it, the more I nurture it, the more it has to offer, the more I am of value when it's time for me to offer myself out, as opposed to just overexerting myself and feeling resentment at the end of the day. So that's my first one. Second point, I was about to say my favorite, no, but favorite. I think the most practical one. Know your limit. It is so helpful to know your limits. If, for example, when it comes to interacting with people, say either in person or over the phone, okay, I would try to make an example with myself. And I don't like texting. I have to put in a lot more effort into responding to texts and stuff like that. I prefer calls, survive on phone calls, but I survive on emails as well and social media DMs. Sometimes phones are difficult to maintain actually altogether. I just try to avoid that. But that, whether it's over the phone, digitally or in person, maybe there's an event that you need to go to, people that you just want to see and stuff like that, and that really need your presence, that would like your presence, even if it's not really need, but that people that would like your presence at a situation that you know that you're not too excited about. But if you know your limit, you're able to tell yourself that, you know what, I care about this person and I see what they want, what they're doing is important to them. So I am going to show up, but for 2 hours, because I can't do too much of it. And then after that, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to be with myself, or I'm going to do the stuff that I wanted to do. It helps you know that you did what you wanted to do, which is be a part of the world around you, and also still be a part of what you want to be a part of without overexerting yourself into anything. So you've done that, but you're also going to be doing this one, which is even more important. Otherwise, you have nothing to offer that side. But no need to do more than what you find is comfortable for you, because then you're crossing your own boundaries. That would work with just about anything. If you know what your limit is when it comes to a situation, whether it's romantic relationships, with your family, with your job, with your business, because setting a limit when it comes to your business, boundaries in business are so difficult. They're so difficult, but we need to have them. So with everything, if you know what your limit is, you know this is how much you can put into this thing, you know this is how much you're going to need for yourself, then you make sure that you do what you can do for that thing that you agreed to do, and you still reserve a whole lot more for yourself. That helps. Not that you're not going to feel guilty, but if you do struggle with feeling guilty, it helps alleviate that. I think with point number 1 being take protecting your mind seriously, I take the limit part and come back and remind myself that, hey, I'm sticking to my limits because I take protecting my mind seriously. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. But that's all that I have for you today. I just wanted to speak about these guilt-free boundaries. These guilt-free boundaries that are not easy to set, but you're not alone. And yeah, if there's anything else you'd like for me to speak about, please head over to my Instagram and just DM me. Let me know what else you'd like to speak about. But otherwise, please be in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this video, what else works and helps you stay away from feeling guilty about setting boundaries or sticking to your boundaries. And subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.